This week we are moving on to transformations, and we're going to start talking about these today, but we'll continue talking about them definitely tomorrow as well. So, our goal today is that we can use transformations to move shapes on a coordinate grid. So a couple of things to remember. We need to know what a coordinate grid is. We've worked with those last week, and you can see some picture below. And also you can see off to the left side, we have 3 names of different types of transformations. Now we're going to zoom right on in. We're going to look at some things in our math message here. We're on page 178. Translations or slides, reflections or flips, and rotations or turns are basic transformations that can be used to move a figure from one place to another without changing its size or shape. Now that's key here. So today we're moving them, but the shape, the size, that's not changing. So here are some, whoops, I want that to stay with it, that's okay. Okay, here are some below that we'll want to look at. We can see that a translation shows our shape moving. The original is number 1, and it's sliding. In this case, it's sliding up and over. And let's look at our reflection. Our reflection, we can see shape number 1 below, right here. And they always give you a certain point to reflect over. So in this case, they're reflecting right over the x-axis. It's just like it's flipping. Okay, and then looking at our last one, we have a rotation. Now this one looks a little funky just because they have this circle drawn around it, but that's just to show you that we have this pivot point right here. So if you're familiar with basketball, it's moving around a particular point. In this case, that point is moving that shape. Sometimes we have to move it around a different point like over here, and that gets a little bit tricky, but we aren't going to be really touching on that too much today. All right, so hopefully you know what each of those things are. We're going to move on down, and we need to identify whether the pre-image, number 1, and image 2 are related by a translation, a reflection, or a rotation. Now I'll give you a hint. We have one of each down here. And then we need to write our answer below. So looking at this first one, we can see our original shape, or they call it a pre-image, number 1, is up in our upper left corner here, and it is flipping and going down below the x-axis. So in this case, that would be a reflection. Number 2, looking at, again, our original image there, we see that it doesn't look like it's flipping at all, doesn't look like it's rotating around anything at all. It's simply sliding. And if we're sliding anything, that's called a translation. Moving on to our final, we see our pre-image here, and you can see that point. Now I kind of covered it up, but it's rotating over. So that final one would be our rotation. We are now on page 179, next page over. We're going to take a peek at this page together as well before you do your assignment. So we're looking up at our example here. It says translate quadrangle ABCD, which is already shown, 6 units to the right and 5 units up. So we can already tell by just thinking about that our shape should be somewhere up in the upper right hand corner. Okay. So here's how we do this. I'm going to see how much I can zoom in for us. So we need to go 6 to the right and 5 up. I'm just going to zoom in so we can see a little more clearly. 6 and 5. All right, so what you're going to need to do is start with each single point here. So I'm going to start with point A and move that one over. I need to move 6 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now it's not plotted there because I haven't moved up 5 yet. Now I go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my point A is going to be translated here, and I now call this A prime, and it has that little apostrophe looking thing. Some of you guys noticed that last week. Now I'm just going to erase our steps so we aren't messed up here. And you can sure draw with pencil. We just want it to look neat by the time we finish. Now I'm going to go ahead and do point B. So point B, again, I move 6 to the right, 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my point B will be here, and I name that B prime to show that it's a translation of point B. Now I'm going to go ahead with point C, 6 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Point C will be here, again, name it C prime. And finally, point D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll be at this point, and again, you know the drill, D prime. Now you'll use a straight edge to make nice, neat lines. I don't have a straight edge with me, so I'm going to draw them as neatly as I can, and it should look something like this. Now, if you were to check, you could look at your coordinates and make sure that point A is at 3, 4. Point B should be at 4, 3. Remember, always your X first and then your Y is listed. Point C should be at 3, 1. And point D prime, I should be saying prime with all of these, is at point 2, 3. All right, so there was our practice round for our translation. Now you're going to be translating these two. You do need to complete these, number 1 and number 2. But since we just practiced one together, I want you to try those on your own. And then looking at the bottom, it wants you to do this. I want you to give it a try and see what you come up with. So notice you see it says without graphing. So just try to look at a pattern, see if you find a pattern when you're doing the actual translations. For your assignment today, we're actually splitting up this lesson, so there are a lot more pages included in it that we'll be working on tomorrow. So you just need to finish pages 178 and 179, which we started looking at together, and then your math box is page 183. Those are due tomorrow. You should have a transformation worksheet with you, and then when you are going to do IXL, practicing our new skills on DD2 and DD3.